video I was talking about reflection and engagement, and I mentioned in passing that the reason why I started talking about that is because about some information I've been seeking about Heidegger, who talks about that. So I'm just trying to rehearse ideas to do with that, see if I can clarify them for myself here, I suppose. And my understanding of it, and I'm pretty vague on this, is that Heidegger has this understanding of engagement as being kind of primal or preconceptual, that our first engagement with the world isn't kind of experience of things. It's not a recognition of everything that is the case, as I think Wittgenstein calls it, something like that. It's not that kind of conceptual engagement of thingness. It is of engagement. Actually, I shouldn't have used the word engagement in the previous sentence. But it starts with engagement, which I'm kind of associating in my mind, probably incorrectly, with Gibsonian ideas of affordance, that kind of thing. So that the first experience one has, and that one might continue to have, is not a sense of there I am, a being, and there is the world of things. There is just this being in the world, and it's usually written with hyphens in between letters in that words in that sentence. Being in the world is Heidegger's idea, and being in the world means being engaged with the world. So there is no sense that that here I am doing something. There is this thing that's going on. There is this engaged activity, and I am part of it, or being is part of it. So I'm approaching this tree here. If I had an axe with me, and I started chopping at the axe, that kind of approach to knowledge, that kind of know that activity, that kind of highly procedural activity is typical of that kind of Heideggerian being in the world activity, if I am engaged in that activity for what it is. If I stop and think about it, I stop and it's an axe, and this is a certain manufacturer's name of axe. It's got a certain kind of steel at the top of it, and this particular tree is this kind of tree. And I kind of break the activity down into things. Then I'm no longer engaged. I'm now reflecting on the world, and I've kind of decomposed the experience into a kind of catalogue of things, which for Heidegger is a kind of inauthentic, or a kind of I don't know what word he would use for that, but it's not a desirable state of affairs. He's very keen on this could be a kind of authenticity implied by a kind of hands-on, engaged relationship with the world. I think there's something quite sort of mythological about Heidegger's approach there. I think he's drawing on a kind of myth of peasantry, a myth of the artisan, kind of a desire for going back to nature. And here I'm reminded of Thoreau's desire when he wrote something like, I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. Said something like that in Walden. It's this idea, it's kind of romanticism almost of a relationship with the natural world, particularly the relationship between oneself as a being and the rest of the world, which is, as I say, a preconceptual, kind of primal, kind of authentic, which is not reflective, which is all about doing and the doingness, the unreflective, totally engaged doingness of it. I think, funnily enough, you actually find that in Roland Barthes as well, and I don't think there's any real strong relationship between Barthes and Heidegger that I'm aware of, but who knows. Because in one of his books, I can't remember which, it's either Death of the Author, an essay, or From Work to Text, one of those essays. He talks about being a woodcutter in that, actually. He says something like, if I'm a woodcutter and I am asked to name the tree that I am felling, or something, then he specifies a special kind of relationship that the woodcutter supposedly has with the tree that he's felling. I think he says it's a transitive relationship, one in which the woodcutter, the axe, the tree, the felling of the tree, all kind of exist in the gestalt. Whereas he says for himself, or for another person who's not a woodcutter, or somebody who's watching the woodcutter and is asked to name the activity, it's an intransitive relationship. I think I've got that the right way around, in which there are, these items, that action breaks down, decomposes into a series of objects and events, and has a kind of decadent feel to it. It becomes reflective, it becomes decomposed into a database of objects and entities, and the authenticity of the action is lost. Now, I don't know if Barthes is doing the same thing as Heidegger, and I just think it's quite interesting that the same kind of nature type activities, artisan activities, peasant type activities are important to suggest that kind of activity of unreflective engagement.